Public broadcaster needs a R3 billion government guarantee to avoid collapse next year. That's according to SABC board chair Bongumusa Makhathini. He was briefing Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts. Now, Makhathini says that about 70% of the SABC's revenue went to wages. Let's get you the latest on the story now. Pilari Setusa is our reporter tracking the story. She was at that Scopa briefing. She joins us now live. Pilari, this issue of 70% of the SABC's revenue going to wages, that's an important one, because just a couple of weeks ago, in a briefing that the SABC itself had, it talked about how much money was in fact wasted on employees that were no longer in the employ of the SABC.
Yeah, so that came up immediately as the meeting started, Michelle. The fact that they have this bloated workforce that they are paying an excessive amount of the entire revenue on annually, and they're saying this is why they actually need those retrenchments that they've been talking about, because there are people in jobs that actually they don't need and are unnecessary. But I just want to start off with the collapse of the state broadcaster. Now, it almost felt like the board was sort of on bended knee in this committee, and they were saying, please help us and help us keep the SABC on air. Let's just take a listen to what the chair had to say with regards to that.
As we speak now, no, not as we speak now, and that's why I tried to kind of at the time that I was asked to act, there was certainly a big challenge.
We project a day zero to be in March 2019. What we need urgently is a R3 billion injection, which will then allow us, if we can get a government guarantee of R3 billion, it will allow us to approach banks to get the money that we need.
I mean, they make it sound so simple, Peladi, just a R3 billion injection to keep the SABC afloat. What kinds of questions and kind of interrogation happened when that was tabled at Scopa?
Sure. So, Michelle, I know we overuse the phrase quite a lot. We say parliamentarians grilled X, but they really did in this sitting. So while on one hand we had the board saying this is the amount we need to stay from total collapse, and then we had parliamentarians rightly saying, you know what, we don't want the public broadcaster to collapse, and we agree with you. But we also have this AG report, which this Auditor General report, which says you guys had a wasteful and fruitless expenditure, rather, of over R4 billion. Who signed these contracts? Why did we need all these tenders? And they were very clear. They had marked pages highlighted saying, okay, on page 56 of the report, it says this and this person signed off on this tender. Who was this person? And unfortunately, the board today couldn't pinpoint who was responsible for signing off on some irregular payments, on some irregular appointments. And they were saying that they've been having difficulty in tracking down some very key documents to try and help them build a list of the people who might be directly responsible. We had the CFO saying to us that they've had to go to sort of obscure basements, obscure storerooms at certain bureaus to find boxes of documents mislabeled or clumped together with documents that don't make sense at all. So she says that's their challenge in trying to pinpoint who are the people responsible for the kind of mismanagement and ineptitudes that we've seen over the past 10 years. Now, another thing MPs were really concerned about beyond the wasteful expenditure is the retrenchments, as we mentioned earlier on. They say there can't be this mass retrenchment of ordinary workers when we know for a fact that a lot of the salary bill is at the top of that structure. So, for instance, one of the examples they gave is that there's about 500 managers at the SABC right now, which are costing the SABC about 700 million rand a year to employ, and all those managers only have 1 or 2 people under them, and their roles are sort of redundant. Those 2 employees could report to someone else or to another department very easily. So they're saying that senior management, middle management are where the cuts have to happen, and they're saying in that strata alone, they're also seeing that a lot of people don't have the requisite skills, the qualifications, or the experience that is needed for that role. So they're going to have to consider very carefully who they do chop. And then we also had had the chair once again pointing to the fact that the top executives aren't earning as much as previous executives aren't earned in the past, but also a cold comfort